Okay, so let's continue with this collision test fiasco that we've been on, and we're going to look at another kind of collision test in WPF, and it's basically what the mouse is over. Right now, what I have here is from a previous video, and basically I have this character, and he is moving by the key press. So I created this handler, this key press event handler right here, this key down, and I have a key up, and they both run from these delegates here. So I have an on a key down event handler, which is right here, and I have an on key up event handler, which is right here. And both when those events happen, that's when these delegates actually activate. I also have this timer here, which is going to be pretty much the game timer, let's just say, when we're actually developing a game, and it's using this delegate here, this update player, and this is what's going to run every time. It's constantly checking to see whether the player's key is pushed. I could have done this another way to where it's directly from the key press event, but it's better this way in that I can add other things in between the loop itself. I could have put it in its own loop, but now right now, because of we want to do this as an example, I have this in here. So when the key is pressed, the timer starts, and the key is released, the timer stops. And I can have it to where it eases as a stop, or it just completely stops like it does right now. Okay, so basically what I want to be able to do, let me show you this really quick. Let's just look at this really fast, and then look at this player. He can move around, right? Last time we stopped him from going on the boxes up there, and now we have this rectangle here. What I want to be able to do is, this may be a secret area or something, so if you could put the mouse over it, or if he goes over it, then something pops up or something happens. Let's first look at, make sure we're getting the right information in from our character. So what we're going to do is we're going to create this position up here, right? So it's a dim position as point. So go ahead and create that. I'm not really going to use these right now because this is not really what I'm focused on, these new locations, not for now. Right now, let's just go ahead and create this new point. And a point has an X and a Y value to it, so that's kind of the main thing that you are using. The reason why you're using a point is because of that X and Y value. What I want to be able to do first is be able to at least determine, or see, to test to see where that character is. So without focusing on the box so much, let's print out the position equals player, and that's his name. We call this over here, this right here. If we look over here, it's player. That's the name of this image right here. And if you look in the XAML, it's the exact same name, because this and the XAML all they match. They're the same thing. So I'm gonna go back here, and that's what I'm referring to when I say player. So I'm gonna say player A, and I want to get the points, and I can do that in multiple ways. I can actually get the points by saying, going canvas dot get left. But what we're going to do today, because we won't be getting the proper coordinates if we do the canvas dot get left, because it's going to be going in relation to the maximum of the canvas itself. So what we're going to be doing is something a little bit more precise. We'll just get it directly from the player, and then we'll use something called point to screen, and then that's going to be a new point. And then we're going to make that, because it's a double, so 0 W double, 0 double. Alright, and then let's print this out. So I'm going to say console write and I'm going to print out this position here, just so we can see what's going on here. So every time I move him, I get his position. That looks good. Yeah, we can see that right here. I'm getting his position. Let's look at what would have happened, though, if I did not use this one as position, but let's see what happens if I were to use the canvas as position. So instead of doing this, I'm going to say, I'm just creating this. You don't have to follow me on this one, because I just want to prove a point. Get left, because this is margins. This is why this would be a problem when you're trying to get some precision going in WPF. And then I'm going to say well, I was going to do it here. Okay. Get left, and then I was going to say canvas top. You don't have to follow along on this. Like I said, I'm just doing this to prove a point. So this is going to be, I'm going to create this as a new point. So just so I can see what numbers will be produced if I were to get the canvas that I get left and get canvas that I get top player A inside of this position component right here. So now I'm going to run it, and I'm not even getting a position, as you can see down here, and that's because the player is not even set. A lot of times when you get that is because you have to go in here, and inside the XAML sometimes this area is not being set, so you'd have to set it. And that is another problem of using Canvas, is that you are directly dealing with the canvas itself. Sometimes that you can deal with a whole bunch of issues with the actual object on the stage. So this is why we are using this one here, because we don't have to we don't have to worry about that. Hold on, let me make sure that that wasn't the problem. But this happens all the time when you're using Canvas. You got to preset things. Yeah, so that's correct. We got the. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn that one off. Turn this one back on. I have it writing. I'm gonna go ahead and play that, and I run it, and I get the proper values. Okay, so now that I know that I'm getting the proper values from the player. Now I want to use something called it's called the visual tree helper, and there's a lot of different ways you can use this. And just to not make this so confusing, I'm just going to show you how to use it, and I'm not going to go into too much detail because it can get pretty confusing using this visual tree helper. So the first thing I want to do is I want to go ahead and create a handler for the visual tree helper. Now, just so you can know, just like a timer has a handler and it's going on the tick, so a timer ticks every time it moves, it ticks, right? So I create a handler here to work with the tick, and I create this delegate, so every time it ticks, this delegate runs. Well, with the visual tree helper, you can either override the onInitialized function, or you can just go ahead and create a handler directly inside of this new, after this is initialized. I'm just going to do it this way because it works just the same for something so small. So I'm going to go ahead and create a handler, and just like the timer, it's not going to be for the tick though, it's going to be for what's called the render. It's going to be composition target render. So I'm going to go composition target render. So I have the composition target rendering, and then I go address of, just like the timer, but it's going to be the address of me dot composition target rendering. And that's how I'm going to create. And right now what I have to do here is change this to and then I'm going to say, I'm going to call this a composition target underscore rendering. There we go. I'm going to go ahead and put this here, and then I'm going to go ahead and have this generated. Take this out. So I have that there. Now inside of the composition target rendering, which is probably produced all the way down here, I'm going to go ahead and cut this and bring it up here just so that we can see what's going on. Put it right under the update player. I don't really need this right now. And here I have, this is what's going to be activated as it's rendering. So it's like a timer, except it's doing it as objects are rendered on the screen. So that way you can also use this to be able to actually gather information about what's happening with the the mouse and stuff like that. And that's what we're going to use. We're going to use the mouse over, almost like a mouse over event. So we're going to say, we're going to put that position, this position that we figured out here, and we're going to call the position, dim position, no, we're going to just call the position equals so we're going to say position equals mouse dot get position, and we're going to say the position is going to be relative to the player A. So I have that position relative to the player A. Now here's where the magic happens. Well, some of the magic. I'm now going to call the visual tree helper. Visual tree helper, and I'm going to call the hit test. So if you guys went through the hit test tutorials that we went over before, you notice we did it by hand, which is fine too. You can also do a hit test using this visual tree helper, which can sometimes be a little bit confusing, but once you get the hang of it, it kind of becomes a little bit easier to use this on simple concepts. So I'm going to say player A, and then I'm going to add in nothing here, which is like, yeah, that's nothing. It's not null. I'm going to say new hit test. Hit test. Result, I want the callback. There we go. And I'm going to give it an address of there we go. And now from here, what I'm going to do is go ahead and create that. But first, let me create that. Go like this. Use the helper. Let it generate it for me. And then I can get rid of this. It generated it down here, just so you can know. Once I do that, now I'm going to go ahead and add my new parameter. And it's going to be a point parameter. And I'm going to feed it the position. Okay, so down here, let me grab this, bring it up here. So there's a few things required in this area right here. In order for this to work, I need a result of the hit test, and that's going to be as a hit test result. And what it's going to return is a hit test behavior. And I want to change this to function. Okay, so now I want to go in here and I'm going to dim something called hit result. That's going to be a hit. That's going to be a point hit test result. error result. And that's going to equal direct cast. I'm going to cast this as a result. And feed it the point hit test result. Okay, so, and at the end of that, what I want to be able to do is I need to return the hit test result. Hit test result behavior, but I don't want it to be dot stop. I want it to be dot continue, and I can put that in these brackets. Alright, so that looks like it should work. So let's just test this out really quick. Let's just see. Let's just put a test down here and let's see what happens. I'm just going to put an MS box. And let's say just hit. So actually, so when the mouse hits this player, we should be able to get this information here. We have this starting up here. Yeah, let's see what happens. Run it. And there we have it. It's colliding with the person, and so the player, and that's a hit test. So we tested it on him. Now what we got to do is put it on the box, and we named the box. I think we named it box. Yeah. So created this box. I think I showed you guys how to do that. If not, then basically I can delete this, and I'm just going to go down here and create a rectangle. Where is it? Rectangle. I go up here, and I'm going to call that box. I'm only giving it this simple name because, you know, for demonstration purposes, you should name yours a little bit more accurately. So now that I have this box, I can go ahead here and change my player, change from my player to the box. And now I can hit test over the mouse. The mouse can hit test over the box. So let's run this and let's see. And let's do something like this. Why don't we write what was hit? So why don't we say console, I want to write line, and let's pull the name. Okay, so we'll say direct cast hit result dot visual hit. That should work, and let's try that. That should work. Let's see. We could have put it in this area here, but I'm just gonna do it in the console now. Alright, let's run that. And I put my mouse over the box, and there it is, right here. You see it says hit box, the name of it. And again, if I wanted to put that in the message box, I could have done that. And but the you know, is for testing. I wouldn't really do this, but just to prove it to you, you know, that it's just pulling the text out of here. And Alright, so let's see, we have that and we have this. Let's see it, pull it. It'll show up down here. So it says box down here, and it says the coordinates on the hit. So that's how you can take your mouse event or your mouse movement and be able to determine what the mouse is over. Without really, you're not really using a mouse over event. You're just following the mouse around. Then when the collision happens between the mouse and the object that you set up, you make something happen, whatever that might be. It really doesn't matter. So hopefully that helps. See you guys next time.